Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandra Lucchese, and I'm the Program Manager at the Washington Regional Alcohol Program, also known as WRAP. WRAP is a nonprofit organization who works to prevent drunk driving and underage drinking in the Washington metropolitan area. Today, I am here to talk to you all about alcohol, what it is, its effects, and the consequences of underage drinking. So let's start out by talking about what is alcohol. Alcohol is ethyl alcohol or ethanol. It is made from fermenting sugars using yeast as a catalyst. It is a central nervous system depressant, meaning it slows the functions of the brain and spinal cord, including balance, coordination, and other movements. And it is also classified as a drug. It is a common misconception that it is not, but it is classified as a drug. Now we all know what alcohol is. Let's define what a drink is. All alcoholic beverages have a standard pour with a standard concentration of alcohol in it. Let's start with a beer. A standard beer has an alcohol concentration of 5%, and that would be a 12-ounce can of beer has 5% alcohol. Now, when we look at a glass of wine, a standard glass of wine is going to be 5 ounces, and that contains 12% alcohol. And then finally, liquor. A standard pour of liquor is going to be 1.5 ounces, and that actually contains 40% alcohol, also known as 80 proof. These are all standard size drinks. So as long as you keep these concentrations the same and these ounces the same, the alcohol is actually equal to each other in each drink. However, if you change one thing, you change the equality of the drink. So why exactly does alcohol affect people differently? Well, there's many reasons why, including biological sex, their weight, the quantity that they've consumed, the person's tolerance, if they've eaten any food, if they are on any prescription medications, if they are mixing with any sort of drugs, family history of alcohol abuse, as well as the person's mindset while they are drinking can affect how alcohol is affecting them. So here on the right side of the screen, we have a chart showing how alcohol can increase a person's BAC depending on their weight and how many drinks they have consumed. Now, for biological sex, there are 3 main reasons why it affects women differently than men. The first is going to be an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase, also known as ADH. This is an enzyme that is found in the stomach and liver, and it helps the body in metabolizing alcohol. So it's mostly found in men, and women tend to be deficient in this enzyme. So that's one reason why it affects women a little bit differently than men. Second is going to be fat versus muscle mass. So biologically speaking, women tend to carry more fat than men, and men tend to carry more muscle mass than women. When we compare adipose cells, which are fat cells, to muscle cells, adipose cells do not actually hold water while muscle cells do. So even that tiny little bit of water in a muscle cell can help dilute alcohol when it's in the body. Third reason is going to be hormones and emotions. So women go through hormonal changes every month, which can actually affect how alcohol affects their body. So here we have what is called the spectrum of drinking. So it begins at a casual drinker and it progresses all the way down to an addict. So if we start by looking at what is a casual drinker. So a casual drinker is someone who drinks once in a while. So according to the CDC, this is someone who usually drinks during the holidays and special occasions, but no more than a few times a month. So what about a moderate drinker? Moderate drinkers drink more frequently than casual drinkers, so this can be once a week, twice a week, every other day, every single day is the max. To stay in this category, a man can have 2 drinks per day and a woman can have 1 single drink per day. If they exceed this amount, then they move on down to what is called an abuser. According to the CDC, an abuser comes in 2 forms. The first is going to be a heavy drinker, and the second is going to be what is known as a binge drinker. A heavy drinker is a man who drinks more than 2 drinks per day, and a woman who drinks more than 1 drink per day. On the other hand, a binge drinker is a man who drinks more than 5 drinks per 2 hours, and a woman who drinks more than 4 drinks per 2 hours. So a lot more alcohol within a shorter time period. If you make a habit out of this, then that person's going to move on down to addiction. So this is when someone starts to drink too much and too frequently. Their body begins to become dependent on alcohol, meaning they don't drink because they want to or choose to drink. They are drinking because their body needs the alcohol, and without it, they will have problems. Addiction affects every single part of your life, your relationships with family and friends, how someone performs at work or school, every single part of your life. So now we're going to talk about mixing alcohol with medications. Let's start off by saying never ever mix drugs and alcohol together. So here on the screen, we have a chart, and it has different medications such as allergy meds, anxiety medications, depression medications, as well as mild pain medications. So if we look at mild pain medications such as Advil or Tylenol, you can actually see that it can lead, if it's mixed with alcohol, it can lead to an upset stomach, stomach bleeding, stomach ulcers, liver damage, as well as a rapid heartbeat. Here we have a few more different type of medications, as well as the adverse reactions with alcohol. I would like to make a point to say that it's not just going to be prescription medications and over-the-counter medications that can have adverse reactions with alcohol. It also includes herbal remedies. So some things like tea, specifically chamomile tea. So chamomile is an herb commonly found in tea, and it actually relaxes the body. So we can say it has depressive effects on the body. If someone were to add alcohol, which we said is also a depressant, to the mix, then it actually can amplify that depressant effect on the body. So it can make someone extra sleepy, extra drowsy, extra dizzy. It can even cause breathing problems and also affect your memory. So now we're going to look at what are the short-term effects of drinking alcohol. So this is what's going to happen as somebody drinks. So in low doses, someone can start to experience poor concentration, slower reflexes, a slower reaction time, reduced coordination, as well as slowed brain activity. If someone were to drink a little bit more, they could start to experience slurred speech, drowsiness, altered emotions, as well as a hangover the following day. In high doses, this is when it becomes extremely dangerous. So the person can start to see different effects of alcohol poisoning, such as vomiting, difficulty breathing. They could pass out or black out. They could slip into a coma or even die from having too much alcohol in their system. So we talked about the short-term effects. Let's look at the long-term effects of alcohol and how it affects the entire body, as well as the organs in the body. So when we start with the brain, drinking alcohol can lead to poor coordination, as well as poor judgment, slower reflexes, distorted vision, loss of memory, and even make someone prone to blackouts. The heart, drinking can actually cause an enlarged heart, heart palpitations, which is an abnormal heartbeat, and even high blood pressure. Your stomach, so not only are you putting what they call empty calories into your stomach, which can lead to weight gain, but it can also lead to ulcers as well as vomiting, because alcohol is a toxin, and having too much of a toxin in your body is going to want to make the body get rid of it as fast as it can. So that's why some people vomit. It can also lead to some stomach cancer in some cases. Your liver, so drinking can lead to severe liver damage, such as cirrhosis or hepatitis, liver failure, as well as liver cancer. But out of all of these, it's going to affect the brain the most. Your brain is not done developing until you're in your early 20s, around age 25. It can affect the parts of the brain that are involved in decision making and emotions. And in addition, the earlier someone starts drinking, the more likely it is that they are going to develop a dependency on alcohol later on in life. So here we have a common misconception that is going to be false. So some people believe that a blackout is the same as passing out. It's actually not going to be true. A blackout is when someone is awake and active during a period of time. So they could be walking around, having a conversation with someone, doing something they don't realize they are doing, because they are going to have no memory of it when they come out of that blackout period. Passing out is when someone cannot be woken up. They're going to be out cold. So we mentioned BAC a little bit earlier today, but what exactly is BAC? So BAC stands for blood alcohol concentration, and it is going to be the amount of alcohol given in a certain volume of blood. So when someone does a breathalyzer test, this is what they are looking for. They are looking for the BAC. So that being said, there are different levels of impairment that actually correlate with different levels of BAC. So if we look at the bottom, at a 0.0 to 0.05, so this could be 1 or 2 drinks for some people, they're going to start to experience mild impairment. So this is going to be where they begin to feel sleepy. They're going to have deficits in speech, memory, attention, coordination, as well as balance. If we go a little bit higher to 0.06 to 0.15%, they're going to have increased impairment. At this point, there are going to be significant impairments in all driving skills. They are going to increase their risk of injury to themselves as well as others, and they can also experience moderate memory impairments. If someone had a higher BAC than that, then they can be in the realm of severe impairment. So this is where somebody could begin to black out. They show signs of alcohol poisoning, such as vomiting, or they can even lose consciousness. If someone had an even higher BAC, this is when it becomes very life-threatening. So they are not conscious. They might have to go to the hospital because of alcohol poisoning, and they are actually at significant risk of death because it does suppress the vital life functions, having too much of that toxin in their body. So that being said, how does someone sober up? Do they eat a ton of greasy foods? Do they drink a bunch of water and try to flush it out of their system? Do they just sleep it off? Do they drink Pedialyte? It's actually going to be none of those. The only way to actually sober up is going to be giving your body time. And this is because it takes the body about an hour to an hour and a half to metabolize one standard drink. And the definition of being sober means to have 0% alcohol in your body. So why exactly is alcohol so dangerous? Well, alcohol leads to risky behaviors. So according to the CDC, these risky behaviors could be alcohol poisoning, not wearing a seatbelt, getting into the car of a driver who is intoxicated, drinking and driving. It can make people more prone to violence, or they could black out. And all of this is because alcohol can impair decision making. It can increase aggressive behaviors. Some people do have perception problems, and they do things they normally would not do under the influence. So continuing with risky behaviors, here's an important stat. 24% of young drivers ages 15 to 20 years old who died in a crash had a BAC of 0.01 or higher. So this means that even at a 0.01, which is very low on the BAC scale, they still had enough impairments to end in a fatal car crash. A second stat that's very important, so in the United States, over 10,000 people died in alcohol-related crashes in the year 2019. So that's an alcohol-impaired driving fatality occurring every 50 minutes. So now we're going to talk about what are the legal consequences of underage drinking. So alcohol drinking and driving laws for those under 21, they're going to be 0 tolerance. So that means that there's not going to be a second chance. The first time someone gets caught for underage drinking, they're going to receive a legal consequence. There's no warnings. So to start it off, if someone gets caught drinking and driving under the age of 21, so they have any sort of alcohol in their body, it's not just going to be that 0.08, which is the legal limit for those over 21, if they have any alcohol at all. They could be fined up to $500 or receive 50 hours of community service. They can get their license revoked for 1 year. And it is going to be a Class 1 misdemeanor in the state of Virginia. If someone were to get caught in possession, drinking, or buying alcohol under the age of 21, they're going to receive a mandatory fine of $500 minimum, or they're going to get 50 hours of mandatory community service, and they can get their license suspended for 6 months all the way up to an entire year. If someone were to purchase a fake ID and try to use it to buy alcohol underage or get into a bar, there's going to be a mandatory fine of $500 minimum, and or they're going to receive 50 hours of mandatory community service. So continuing with more legal consequences, this is specifically for adults, so those over the age of 21, or parents who aid minors in getting alcohol. So the parent or adult is going to get their license suspended for up to 1 year for purchasing for those underage. They can also receive a fine up to $2,500, and they can even go to jail for up to 1 year in the state of Virginia. So on this page, we have the legal consequences across the DMV area. So you can see that they usually all end in jail time, suspended license, some sort of fine, community service. Those are all standard consequences across the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. So it's not just going to be all of that money for fines. Whether we're talking about DUIs or underage drinking, it can change your life. So there's going to be attorney fees, insurance can increase if someone is to receive a DUI. There could be other fines. They could lose days at work and school. There are going to be some court costs and bonds. And all of that can total up to $5,000 all the way to $20,000. And that's a high price to pay. So somebody could lose their life. They could sustain injuries. If they were to receive a DUI, they're going to have a criminal record, which means that they could have issues applying for jobs or schools. Car insurance will go up in the case of a DUI, as well as social embarrassment. If someone is using social media and you post something online while under the influence, it can change your life negatively in one instant because it's always going to be on the internet. And that is it. Thank you very much.